views and opinions expressed on the GFY Social Club podcast are solely that of the host and people with a sense of humor. It is intended for purposes of entertainment. Although we do not aim to offend, if you do find yourself offended at any portion of content during this show, the GFY Social Club would like to sincerely tell you to go yourself.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's episode 2, GFY Social Club. We're here, Austin, Texas, with another episode. It's gonna be a lot of fun, guys. A lot of fun. It's episode 2, guys. That's right. GFY Social Club. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the download on Podbean, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube. We really appreciate it, guys. I'm pretty stoked. We're already getting some followers and everything like that. It's working out real nice. A lot of people getting some interaction going. It's a lot of fun. Speaking of interaction, joined again by the club co-founder, my co-host for the evening, very good friend of mine, the master of the South of the North, the very funny Mr. Craig Fergola.
What is up, people? What's going on?
Yeah.
It's Thursday. What are you guys up to? We're just hanging out, reading news and drinking.
That's what we're doing. That's what we like to do. That's what the social club's all about. We sit there, we pop some beers, we pop some drinks, and we sit there and we tell you some fucking ridiculous stories, because that's what we like to do. And
yeah.
That's shit that we do on a regular basis anyways, right? You know? So we are, as I said before, we are in the clubhouse here in lovely Austin, Texas.
Holy dog shit, Texas, only steers and queers come from Texas, Private Cowboy. And you don't much look like a steer to me, so that kind of narrows it down.
Craig, what's going on, man?
Not much. I was just wondering on that quote. He says steers and queers. Are steers like... Is that some new part of the LGBTQ letterhood that I don't know about, or is that was this guy ahead of his time, or
did they add another letter?
Did they? LGBTQS and steers or something that I'm now going to have some weird pronoun that someone's going to yell at me about because I don't know.
That is offensive.
Because I don't care what anyone wants to go by, call themselves, live their life. I genuinely don't care. But when I say that I don't care, I also mean I don't care. So you don't have to give me a lecture about it if I don't know. You know, we can still be pals.
I don't really fucking care.
Exactly.
Yes. Well, yeah, I don't know, man. I just thought it was a funny quote because, I mean, that's one of the greatest movies of all time.
Of course, yeah. Full Metal Jacket.
It's outstanding.
Yeah.
It's to this day. I mean, they couldn't make it now, especially with the dialect they got in there, you know, the dialogue in that movie. There's no fucking way that movie would pass right now.
What do you mean?
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but I don't remember anything too egregious.
Ridiculous, man. Absolutely ridiculous. So Craig, I gotta tell you, man, social media is driving me fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah.
It's really starting to get on my nerves.
Yeah, I heard that.
People are just going nuts on Facebook, on Twitter, and stuff like that. And I'm not talking about the GFY Social Club, at GFY Social Club, Twitter, Facebook,
best fans in the world.
Absolutely. What I'm talking about is like my personal Facebook page.
Yes.
And it's just getting to the point where it's absolutely obnoxious. Mm-hmm. So you know this because we're buddies. I was in the wrestling business for 16 years.
Yes, you were.
Right. I had a good friend of mine the other day. He put up a guy who used to work with in the wrestling business from back home in Boston. He put up a picture of us from back in 2012 when we were touring the Bahamas for NWA Ring Warriors.
Yep.
Okay. We were having a good time at one of the casinos. I forget the name of the casino. They were in Nassau. But we were just having a good time, man. It was great pictures, me, him, and then another buddy of ours that was on TV for a while. And the quote he put on it, he was like, this is back when we were having such a great time and we were at the top of our game. We were doing the best that we could do, and we were the best at what we did. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I ended up sharing it. And he got this one guy, okay, that was literally just, I've never seen this guy before, but apparently he knows me by name, and not even by like my old character name, by first name. Never met this guy before in my life that I know of, okay? And I guess he's just a wrestling fan or something. But he went off, man. And I mean,
that's weird because you like wrestling fans are known for being calm, cool, and collected, level-headed people.
Yes. Exactly.
I mean, I don't understand why one of them would
yes.
lose their mind. Like,
yeah,
that's
yes.
really, man, it's gonna be the minority, you know?
Yes. Yes. Well, that's what I was getting at. Like wrestling fans, man, and I dealt with them for 16 years. Wrestling fans, now a lot of our comic buddies are wrestling fans. Right?
Yeah, a disturbing amount.
A disturbing amount of wrestling fans. And it was just absolutely, because I was like, I forgot what it was like to interact with some of these the fans and stuff like that, which I never really had a problem with it.
No.
But I was a heel. I was the bad guy.
Yeah.
That was my job. Mm-hmm. And the fact that this guy 10 years later still was saying all this stuff, like, I mean, wrestling fans are just absolutely, they're borderline, I mean, mentally challenged, right? When I think of wrestling fans, you know, get those nerds! You know, that's how I picture wrestling.
Yeah.
I really do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But no, so he's going off, man. He did. He went off and he was like, oh, that Mike Hudak, he was an asshole. He was so mean to the fans and to the people in the back, and that's probably why he left Florida, and he's just a big giant pussy. And I laughed.
Yeah,
I laughed.
Yep.
Now my friend, he's an Italian guy from Boston. So he's overly emotional. He reacts.
Again, I don't get it because Italian guys, especially from the Boston area, usually, again, cool, calm, and collected, very level-headed.
Oh, man, we need fucking help, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, he's just... he's so emotional. So he reacts and he's like, hey, man, don't take that shit to my page and start talking about one of my good friends, right? You know? The guy is like... The guy is clearly, I'm laughing my ass off, right? And I'm sitting there talking to Kristen about it, and she's sitting there, she's asking me, she's like, that doesn't bother you? That doesn't bother you that you know, there's the guy that thinks you're an asshole like that? And I was like, no, that was my job. I was a heel. 10 years later, he still thinks I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, right. I don't,
It was absolutely ridiculous. I don't know. I just thought it was funny because, you know, like I said, wrestling fans, get those nerds. You know, that's how I look at them, and it's hilarious to me.
My favorite thing about wrestling fans, and we know a lot of them. A lot of our friends are for whatever reason are huge wrestling fans. They're not like you wrestled. You were in the business. I get that. These guys are not. I'm thinking of one big goofy bow tie wearing kid in particular. But like I wrestled in high school. Get those nerds! Amateur wrestling, which is weird that it's called amateur wrestling because it's like an Olympic sport. But
yes.
And like I would tell like, oh yeah, I wrestled. And like, oh, them like, oh no, like you know, amateur wrestling, like, what are you, gay? Like, what? Like I would actually like train and get beat up, and like, you know, your ears would get all fucked up, and they're grown men who are watching other lubed up grown men wearing, I guess what in most cases would be called, like you could call it like their sister's fanciest underwear. And you're like, what are you, gay for like competing in a real sport? I don't know. It's weird. No, that's the other answer. No, I'm not gay.
I was gonna say, is this a question that's is that going to get answered tonight or something?
Speaking of which, though, this is a funny little offside story about all this shit going on with cops and how cops are bullies, and I know how they get made because there was a kid that we wrestled with in middle school, and he's a cop now, and it was clearly to compensate, and he would try to be a bully, but he was such a pussy and a nerd that it just never worked out. But this kid, 8th grade, was wrestling a kid and got a boner during the match. And he never lived that. We would call him Officer Woody when we saw him outside, like patrolling bars.
He got a boner during a wrestling match?
He got a boner with a man, wrestling with a man. This was back way back before they had like there's high school girls wrestling now. It's awesome. They have their own sport. This is back if you were a girl and you wanted to wrestle, you just had to wrestle men. But this was him wrestling another dude. and he got a boner, and revealed it in a really weird way. He beat this kid in overtime, and neither one of them were very good, but they won in overtime. He stood up and did with his arms above his head, and he didn't realize that he had a hard on until he looked over, and we were all dying laughing. And yeah, he's just never lived that down. And well, he's a cop now.
He's a cop now.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that he's a cop because, one thing that we do like to do here at the GFY Social Club every week, twice a week, is we do news stories. So it's funny you mentioned that because right off the bat... Time for some news.
One of the best articles ever.
And it's related to cops.
It is. Yeah, there's cops involved in this.
What is it, Craig? What is the most ridiculous story of the day?
Well, I mean, it took place in Florida, so...
Shocker.
Get ready. Miami stripper arrested for squirting vaginal fluids at police officers in self-defense. I don't think I really have to read the article. The headline pretty much says it all. But there's some funny stuff we can talk about in here.
Yes.
5 cops tried to arrest this woman who was apparently drunk, high on meth, whatever. I mean, it's Florida. Take your pick. 5 cops tried to arrest her. She injured 2 and blinded 3 with her vaginal fluid that she shot at them from 12 to 15 feet away. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. That's... I've never even seen girls shoot ping pong balls out of their twat that far. 12 to 15 feet.
That literally gives a whole new meaning to the phrase squirter.
Yeah.
That is absolutely
that's not even a squirt. That's like a fire hose. And she blinded 3 of them and injured 2. So what is she
Jesus.
Did one of those you know that scene from Aliens where it shoots out of the guys? Did one of those come out of her pussy and shoot acid into 3 of the cops' faces and on the other one's forearms? I don't. This is insane.
That's disgusting.
There was a quote from the spokesman for the police who said,
"Yes, this has got to be good. I can't wait."
She used her vagina with lethal force. I mean,
I have never heard of somebody.
I guess if it's blinding people, yeah, that's kind of that's lethal force.
And you've been in some strip clubs before, dude. I mean, I know you have. I've been in strip clubs, and I've been in strip clubs in Miami.
Yeah.
And I can just. This sounds kind of gross, but I can actually smell that assault. I can smell it.
I mean,
That's a tuna, bro.
That's the insane thing. Cops aren't racist. All right, Eric Garner, he was trying to buy a loose cigarette. They choked him to death. This girl shot acid out of her pussy and injured 5 cops, and nothing happened.
Oh my God! It's like when you see those snakes the cobra snakes that they spit venom.
Yeah.
It just goes straight to the eyes. That's what they try to do. And this girl's doing it out of her twat.
Yeah.
That's that.
Her lawyer. Her lawyer said he refuted the statement about her using deadly force with her vagina, or lethal force with her vagina. It was
Vagina.
She used appropriate boundaries of her working skills and abilities. So apparently that's a skill you need to be hired for a stripper in Miami. Can you blind someone with your twat? Yes? Okay, you're hired.
Oh, God. That is absolutely rancid.
Did you read the whole article?
I did. And my favorite part was
the very end of the article?
Well, how she got the disease that she spread. Didn't you see that?
I must have missed that part. All right, let's go over that real quick.
Yeah, supposedly the cops were diagnosed afterwards with chlamydia, gonorrhea, and herpes.
Ooh, that's like a gonorrhea situation.
All 3. They got the fucking the STD cocktail from this girl, literally just all over their eyes.
What if they just had that though to begin with?
I mean, it's possible.
They're cops in Miami.
All 3 of them at the same time. But here's the thing. I mean, some she's a stripper at a strip club in Miami.
That's how they're covering up a case that they actually like gang raped some girl in custody. They're like, oh no, it was a stripper shot pussy juice 12 to 15 feet away. One of those things sounds highly unlikely, and the other one is like, yeah, they probably gang raped some poor girl in custody.
Oh, good God, that is absolutely
No, my favorite part of the article was the very last paragraph.
The amount of years?
They were setting precedent for this kind of deadly vaginal attack.
This is a new thing.
This is not a new thing. This has happened before. There was a guy who robbed a convenience store. I don't know if it was in Miami or somewhere in Florida. And he threatened the clerk at the convenience store with his AIDS-infected penis. That's a quote. AIDS-infected penis. And they caught him and sentenced him to 237 years. No weapon other than his, quote, AIDS-infected penis that he was apparently threatening to, again, rape the person behind the counter with and give that to them. So he robbed them.
That is correct.
Also, 237 years?
Oh my fucking God!
If the guy is what is he on? Is he Magic Johnson? Because that's the only person I know is going to live that long with AIDS.
He has the financial ability to do so. That's absolutely disgusting.
Oh man,
I can't believe they're trying to set a new precedent.
Yeah.
Oh, this story here actually got me because I am a fucking fat guy. So this one was great. And I'm just going to kind of briefly read over it real quick, but this just shows you how fucking ridiculous we are in this world, you know. Italian food park creates the world's largest sheet of pasta. Yum.
First of all,
you're an Italian guy. You should be interested in this.
I was. My first question was a food theme park?
Yes.
Why don't we have one of those in America?
Right?
I have friends who have been to Italy, and they're like, the most beautiful people. There's like 50-year-old women who look like they're 23 because they don't eat fast food or large, huge things of pasta. But like, we should definitely have those in every single state in America.
Yes.
Like, there should be like a McDonald's theme park. I mean. Buc-ee's is basically a theme park, right?
Yes.
That's like a culinary theme park.
That would be awesome.
Like,
I know I would. I'd have fucking season tickets.
Also, this is in Italy,
like Fast Pass. You know, like the Fast Pass at Universal or at Disney. I would be that guy.
Yeah, like it'd be like Busch Gardens where you can go and taste the beer, except it's like a Whataburger theme park, and you just go in and eat fucking Whataburger pickles, just shove them in your fat fucking mouth all day.
The only rides you can get on would be like the small little kiddie rides, because anything else is going to make you put those burgers back out on the fucking planet.
Yeah, like every ride you go on is like, may lose a foot to diabetes on this one. So I think the most attractive ride is just the defibrillator from Fat Fucks Having Heart Attacks. They have one every 3 feet at the American food themed theme park.
So, anyways, this one visitors, I guess. So they're trying to set a Guinness World Record, right, for the largest sheet of handmade pasta. FICO World Italy, an attraction in Bologna.
I believe it is Bologna.
Bologna.
Yeah.
Billed as the world's largest agri-food park, recruited men, women, and children Sunday to help with the Guinness World Record attempt. The visitors created a sheet of homemade pasta, get this, measuring 262 fucking feet long.
Jesus Christ.
262 feet long.
But what the hell is wrong with Italy, right?
Yes.
Don't they have more shit? Didn't they lose like a third of their population to COVID?
Well, apparently.
262 feet? What is that? Like 1,000 people for every foot of pasta that you put out there that died? Like,
maybe. I mean, yeah. The amount of pasta that they're going to eat, 262 feet. 262 fucking feet. And how many of these Italians are going to drop dead of a heart attack because it's 262 feet of pasta?
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a COVID.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
It's going to be.
That's another thing, too. Like,
so,
do you think they're going to do that in China next? They'll try to create the world's largest bat that people can eat?
No, man, they're just going to do that with dogs. So,
That is offensive.
The world's largest pangolin. We're gonna eat that, and we'll see what comes. You know, maybe it'll be a legit superfood this time.
Well, I guess the pasta sheet included 160 eggs and 35 pounds of flour.
That to me that seems, when I read that 168 eggs, I was, because I've done like catering things where you just like, you know,
Yeah.
or I used to work at restaurants where I would have to break up a whole case of eggs because we do like scrambled eggs in the morning.
Yeah.
And a whole case is like that's more than that. So
Oh, yeah.
I was just thinking it would be more. That seemed low. I don't know if they were using some kind of performance enhancing ingredient.
Well, isn't it funny that didn't they used 160 eggs and 35 pounds of flour when in a time where now if you go to the grocery store here, it's still hard to get eggs because people are still panic buying.
Yeah.
You know, but oh no, we're just gonna drop 160 eggs in those giant sheets.
I just like they're coming out of fucking COVID. We still can't even have open mics in Austin, and these guys that got hit the hardest are like building giant ravioli.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Seriously,
it's fucking bananas.
Fuck yourself!
oh, ridiculous, man. That's absolutely insane. What do we got next for our next story, man?
I think we got this one about. Was this in China that this happened, or is this a Chinese teenager? Am I just being insanely?
I don't know. I didn't actually see. I think.
Oh yeah, this was in China. It was in Shanghai.
Is it in China?
It was in China.
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole. Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole. Donald
Yes,
Trump don't trust
China.
China. China is asshole.
All right.
Yeah, that. The headline is a little weird. A girl 18 left in coma after having 2 bubble tea drinks every day. Doesn't say how long.
Bubble tea drinks?
I don't even know what that is. So, like, that's what I don't know what a bubble tea is.
Yeah, they have them around here in Austin. It's basically it's like a cold, like a iced tea, but like a flavored iced tea, a little bit different. And then they have, I forget the name, what they call them, but it's like little tiny gel balls in the bottom of it, but it's just like sugar balls.
like Boda, like the boba.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Something like that.
shit's disgusting.
Yeah, and it's
But
like
2 of those a day. We
two
got
of them a day.
we got people who drink 2 liters of Mountain Dew a day, and they're not I mean,
Oh man,
I don't want to say that they're kind of pussies over there, but you know.
What the hell is wrong with you
Over in the old
people?
US of A, people are mainlining, not even Dr. Thunder, not even like, you know, the real shit. They'll name fucking mainline off-brand colas every day of their life. We used to have Jolt Cola.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, and that's all that shit was is basically cocaine in a can.
energy drink before there was a thing, but it was like, you know,
Oh man, I remember Joe Cola.
Coca-Cola
That
on
surge.
meth.
Oh, and it tasted like shit. Oh man, it was
Yeah, it's
disgusting.
terrible. There's people who live off that. So yeah, I don't know what else happened to her. Did she wake up or?
She had a coma from too much sugar.
She weighed 125 kilograms. Well, I don't know how much that is. I'm assuming that's a lot, but I'm not doing math on this show, Mike. There was
not the issue here.
there was no talk that there would have to be math or conversions done.
Yeah,
when
we know you're not
when
there.
we discussed doing this show.
Yes,
So
we know you're not good at that.
I mean,
well, yeah.
well, Godspeed or quick recovery.
Well,
whatever.
here's the thing. Even if she did ended up not recovering from that coma, do you think it'd still count as a coronavirus thing?
Probably.
It's
Yeah.
still going to count as a COVID-19?
Yes.
So,
All right.
So don't drink bubble tea. Keep eating pangolins and bats though, because
Yes.
that's worked out well.
Well, that's it for our news for today. That was really interesting shit. Like I said, we're going to try to do ridiculous news stories, but we are going to add a new segment in here because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Craig is a little bit of a history buff.
A little bit. Yeah,
A little bit of a history buff. So, with that said, we are going to do Craig Does History. Today, this day, June 18th, on the day of our Lord. Craig, what is our story?
Well, it's June 11th. is when the story is June 11th. I picked this story because it's a little close to you and I. Takes place in a city that's close to both of our
Yes.
hearts, Boston, Massachusetts, and it also is it's about a riot. So it kind of, and I'm not even thinking so much of what's going on now, because there are people talking about riots. It's been mostly peaceful protests. I'm more thinking about a month when the Fed unemployment runs out and we still have 30 million people unemployed, and we
Yes.
probably might see some real riots. This was the Broad Street riot that happened in Boston, Massachusetts on June 11th, 1837.
1837.
And at
Those
the,
of you that are not good at math, that is.
well, I think all people who are self-proclaimed history buffs like me, it's just because we couldn't do math in high school. Like, yeah, do that history, but yeah, no algebra, thanks.
Yes!
At the time in New England in 1837, it was one of the worst financial crises in our nation's history.
Yep.
Banks were failing, people were unemployed, much like
Sure.
what is happening right now.
Sure.
And this one, we have some racially motivated protests going on right now. This one, not so much. It was a honky on honky crime on these. What it was the Irish immigrants of Boston at the time, and they call them in the article Yankees, which just means disgusting white people from New England.
Fuck you.
And at the time, they didn't like each other. Where now, as if anyone you've ever meet from Boston is just so proud to tell you how they're Irish, even though most of them aren't.
Yep.
But so what happened was there was a funeral, an Irish funeral, and there was a bunch of Yankee firefighters who were out and just got off work, decided to go down to the local pub, have some pops, and there was a procession of about 400 Irish people. Apparently,
Sounds like everybody leaving a Red Sox game.
right. The parallels are pretty striking.
Go fuck yourself, dude.
Yeah, and then the fact that they call
Go
them
Sox,
Yankees
buddy.
is like, yeah. So it could have been. You could have just transplant yourself right down on Lansdowne Street.
Damn it!
Except this was just white people on white people. Now in Boston, they beat up a Mexican or a Puerto Rican or something.
Sure. Yeah, because that's what.
They're into that there.
That is offensive.
And now I feel bad because I just said that was a city close to our hearts.
Yes.
I'm not promoting. Yeah, Boston's known for being. It's still a cool city. Not everyone there is like, but there's a lot of people. All right. Well, anyways, back to the story. So what I was these like a group of like 400 Irish people were having a funeral, and they walked by this pub that these firefighters are at, and there was a firefighter outside smoking a cigar. And one of the Irish dudes is like, "Hey, but I can't do an Irish accent."
Hey, laddie.
"Hey, laddie, why don't you put out that cigar there?" And the guy was like, "Go fuck yourself. Go fuck your mother," or whatever. And it just popped off. Like
Yep.
they started fighting, and there was only like 15 firefighters outside. So they get the shit kicked out of them by these Irish dudes. They run back to their firehouse and they start ringing a bell like there's a fire. So all these other people show up, and the chief of that firehouse was like, "These Irish guys are trying to kill us right now." And there's conflicting reports, but knowing enough people from Boston, I'm sure this is exactly how it happened. Like,
Sure.
yeah, they're trying to kill us. Let's go get them.
Yep.
And they just ran outside and beat the shit out of a bunch of these people. They ended up kind of ambushing them. And they were.
Do you want to go to war? Come on. Do you want to go to war? We'll take you to war, okay?
All of a sudden, there's people outside with like clubs and rocks and bricks, and
Yep.
and they get people to disperse, but
Sounds so familiar.
the firefighter cops have not had enough, so they go into an Irish neighborhood, which is very close to where this is all happening, and they just start walking into people's houses and beating the shit out of people, and then dragging them outside and leaving them there to get the shit kicked out of them even more.
Isn't it so appropriate that it's like that? Like this story happened all those years ago on this date, and like look at the shit that's going on right now. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. History tends to repeat itself.
Well, and it's
Swear to
like
God.
so, like kind of like now with the protesters who are just cops are beating the shit out of them and then they arrest them.
Yeah.
So that's what these. At the time in Boston, there was no police force. There was no organized fire department either. In fact, those things both became city-funded organizations out of this. There was like a volunteer fire department these guys are part of.
Mm-hmm.
But when there was crowds, they ended up just bringing in basically like I guess what at the time was like the National Guard.
Sure.
So they kind of quell everything. But they ended up arresting all these Irish people. And none of the cops or none of the firefighters got charged.
Right.
They let them all go. Like 4 of the Irish dudes got like sentenced to like 5 or 6 months hard labor.
Mm-hmm.
And then out of all this, like I said, the Boston Police Department and the Boston Fire Department were created specifically because of this.
Right.
Yeah. So it was just. Fight the power. I guess. That's what I'm saying. Fuck those guys. A bunch of Irish dudes just trying to have a funeral and originally just whop the shit out of these guys, and then they go and just get 50 more, and they bring in like the National Guard. They were firing. Officially, no deaths were recorded because of this.
Yeah.
But even the article says you can't trust those stats because the people writing the stats were the people working for the governor and this National Guard group that was possibly killing these people. And it was also like they just kicked the shit out of so many people and then left them there. Probably a lot of these Irish families had people that died and they just didn't report them. I mean, this is 1863. It's not like they were spot on keeping records and shit like that. But,
yeah. That's fucking nuts, man. See, I never did like too great in history. I mean, I tried to pay. That was more recent history, like 1900s and on, stuff like that. And I didn't know too much about anything from the 1800s. So look at that. Hey, look at that. You're listening to the GFY Social Club and you're learning something.
So anyone out there protesting, what I'm saying is be careful. Those fucking pigs will shoot you in the face with a rubber bullet and not think twice about it. So go out there and do your thing. Just head on a swivel, guys. I'll see you out there.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Craig. Hey, there you go. That has been Craig Does History. On this day, June 11th, day of our Lord in 1837. So, on Sunday, we did a... stop that. There you go. That'll run forever. Yeah, so on Sunday, we did a booze review. And that was Fireman's 4 from Real Ale Brewing Company. And that shit was delicious. Man.
It was really good.
Really good.
Better than the Rolling Rock and Lone Star we're drinking right now.
Hey, we're getting back to our cheap beer roots right now.
Exactly.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing. It's just...
It is Thirsty Thursday.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Thirsty Thursday.
It just tastes like shit.
Well, so on Sundays, we do booze reviews. And we will have a new booze coming up this Sunday. Or Monday, rather, I should say. We record on Sunday, I should say. Sunday Fun Day booze review. But on Thursdays, Thirsty Thursdays, we're going to switch it up a little bit because it is almost the weekend. And it's something that we haven't really had much of lately because of all the bullshit that's gone on with the coronavirus and everything like that. So,
or because we lived in Austin for a couple of years.
That too. Although they are building a nice little soccer stadium here pretty soon. So
we'll get soccer and Quidditch in Austin before too long.
So long, gay boys.
So, in place of booze reviews on Thursdays, what we're going to do is a sports segment. So, right now, it is time for... I love that song, by the way. It's from the Viagra Boys. I saw them at South by Southwest, and... the lead singer is, I mean, the only way I can describe him is like, holy shit, Adam Levine has let himself go. The dude has a beer gut, has tattoos all over, shirtless, and you could just smell him from like 5 rows back.
Hell yeah.
It was absolutely ridiculous. But we do have some sports. I mean, believe it or not, without even with the coronavirus.
Thank you.
Yes. You know, we are sports fans here. Even with this COVID-19 shit pretty much starting to wrap up now, we're starting to get sports back. The only problem is that you got a bunch of rich bastards that are the athletes that are, particularly in baseball, that are really holding things up with trying to get the season going.
But you're saying rich bastards that are the athletes, but I see on the thing it's still fighting with the owners. So it's rich bastards versus like
Rich bastards.
richer bastards.
Yeah, it's great. It's a clash of the elites.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you know, the problem is that they're haggled up right now. I heard the last figure was they were haggled up over like $300 million, and in the two sides. And
Come on, guys, jeez.
I know that sounds like a lot of money but when one player can sign a 10-year contract that's worth $300 million, and now you're literally shutting down an entire league for a season, just because you can't come together and meet somewhere in between. You know, these teams, these owners, they have so much money. They should be able to come to a nice little meet in the middle stance, but they can't seem to get there because I don't know. What is the deal? What was the MLB headline?
MLB Players Union still fighting with owners over when and how to start the season.
Okay, so
which I think there's probably more in that. I think the NBA is starting, and you obviously have to have all these contingency plans on. Well, what if someone gets COVID?
Right.
You know, you have to figure out all that stuff. So baseball players historically not the, a little bit lazier than other sports people. I mean, baseball's the only sport where a David Wells actually, a fat guy with a handlebar mustache smoking cigarettes in between innings, where that
guy was fucking awesome.
Yeah, he was the man. Playing Poker Stars on his laptop in between fucking innings and shit.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that has something to do with it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I heard the last thing that they were saying, the commissioner and the players union, where they're trying to decide whether they want to do 80 games, and the other proposal was like 72 games, I think. So they're only about 8 games off. The last I heard, and this is off of Sports Radio 98.5, the sports hub that I listen to on a regular basis, but they're trying to figure out how they're going to expand the playoffs. So it'll start in July, the season, and everything should be wrapped up by October, second week of October, I believe they said.
Fucking great. But baseball's they've been trying to come up with ways for like the last 5 years on how to speed the game up.
Yeah.
You want to speed the game up? Cut the fucking season in half.
Yeah.
It's too goddamn long and boring.
I agree 100%.
God, these baseball purists that are like, oh, it's gonna be 160. No, get the fuck out of here. Just cut the season in half. You have 3, instead of a 5-man rotation, you got a 3-man rotation.
Yep.
Great, or whatever.
Why can't they cut it down to like 120 games?
Anything.
Even 162 is a lot.
Is there anything like? Have you ever watched a baseball game in fucking within the first 3 months of the season, with bated breath? No, you'll have it on in the background on a radio or on TV.
It's an airport sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing keeping that going is these insane, crazy, demented people who do fantasy baseball, which is I can't even do a full season of fantasy football, not 16 weeks. These guys who do fantasy baseball, that's 162 games.
I can't even.
And it's about 300 categories that you have to. It's crazy. Just cut the season at least in half.
Go to 120 games.
Even that, I think, is too much. But I think you could get away with that initially, and then people could realize how meaningless those extra 40 games are, and then you can whack those off at some point too.
Yeah,
but it's crazy.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we're getting out of this is that the commissioner, Rob Manfred, I mean, he is just not doing a good job. One thing I have taken away from this whole thing.
I didn't realize Bud Selig still wasn't the commissioner.
No, he died.
Yeah. So. He looked like he was going to die back 10 years ago. So.
But no, I think he's just doing a terrible job. I don't think he's exposed himself as being quite possibly the worst commissioner in all of professional sports. And that's including Roger Goodell, who I'm not a big fan.
Well, yeah, he's a piece of shit. But they've been trying to speed up the game for years. They're all like, they're like putting clocks on pitchers because they're taking too long. Like, no, the speeding up the game is cutting out at least a third of the games.
Yes,
because they just like, I love baseball. I really do. I'm a diehard Red Sox fan, but I don't watch games that have no meaning at the like unless it's like a really great like pitcher's duel, then I'll sit down and watch it. But I'm not like, if there's anything else on any other sport at that time, I'm watching that. Those games don't mean anything. It's really boring. It's the
excitement level in baseball is really low, and it has just gone downhill ever since. And I hate to say it, but since they started getting rid of the steroids in the sport. Because it was fun to watch chicks dig the long ball.
Well, the last big thing that everyone, I mean, other than like, the Red Sox winning the World Series, that it was the Cubs, these teams that hadn't won historically. I mean, the Cubs only won one because they suck and it's a dumb city. Shut up, Bob Keane. But like the Red Sox won one and then they won like, 8 more after that because they're just a dominant franchise. Yeah. But like, it's just like the biggest thing before that was the McGuire Sosa,
the home run battle.
Like the fact that they're even trying to keep Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens out of the Hall of Fame, like, get the fuck out of here, man. Yeah, Bonds was a Hall of Famer before the steroid. And here's the thing. He's never tested positive for steroids.
Nope.
Whether the fact that it's blatantly obvious that he was doing steroids,
well, of course,
he has never tested positive.
No,
from everything you read, it was totally rampant back then. Mm-hmm. So you can't just like pick out the guy who's. I mean, the only person who could have ever batted 400 after Ted Williams was probably Barry Bonds. Remember he would just get walked like 500 times a year.
Yeah.
But he was still hitting 75 home runs.
I'll never forget when Buck Showalter was managing against I think he was with the Diamondbacks at the time. He was managing the Diamondbacks, and there was bases loaded, and Barry Bonds coming to the plate.
They walked him.
And he walked in a run.
Yeah.
Because he knew that statistically it was going to be a better chance for him to allow one run instead of allowing 3 or 4.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous.
I mean, here's like. He was a Hall of Famer his first 10 years with the Pirates.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's just like you can't penalize. And it's the discrepancy is like we didn't give a shit when NFL players are on steroids because we want these guys yoked up. We want them retiring after 5 years with full-blown dementia.
Absolutely.
Like no one but for whatever reason, it's these baseball purists who want to still think the game is the same as it was in 1913 when it was, fastball change.
Get those nerds!
People the game's got to change. And I'm not saying fundamentally change the game. The game is great the way it is. It's just too long.
Right.
162 games is too many.
I agree. I think they need to cut it back. I think this is going to open up a lot of eyes for people with the game of baseball, and I think it's going to bring.
I hope so. I hope it does.
I really do too. Because I'd like to go back to having baseball be one of the top. Because as of right now, honestly, I can't look at baseball as being one of like the top 2 sports. I really don't.
It hasn't been for a long time.
And I'm not an NBA fan.
The NFL and the NBA.
It really is. Yeah. It really is. They're dominating American sports right now, and it'd be nice to see baseball because I was always a huge baseball.
I mean, I like they're obviously I'm an NFL fan. I'm not an NBA guy. I never played basketball. Like I said, I wrestled, and I'm a huge hockey fan. But I understand like hockey is very much a niche sport.
Yes.
Like the people, the few hundred of us that are into it are rabidly into it.
Yeah.
NBA is like, I just don't like the sport, but I can watch a game and like still be entertained.
Sure,
like, I can understand
absolutely.
like people watching hockey and just not getting it because there's a lot like it's hard to follow the puck. It's like this weird, offsides. Like you don't when that happens, you don't get why it happened, or like there's all these weird little nuances in that game that like people aren't into. But I think with hockey, if a lot of people just went to a game, they would become fans.
Yeah, you have to see hockey live.
That is the most entertaining thing.
Especially if you can get decent enough seats. I recommend GFY Social Club fans, club members, I got to tell you, if you've never been to a hockey game, get your ass to a hockey game.
I've been to the Austin Stars.
Austin Stars.
So much fun.
Oh yeah.
So much fun. I went to shout out Casey Stewart. He's up in New York now. Good friend of mine.
Nice.
Comic down here. Kid from black kid from Colorado. Never been to a hockey game before, so I was like, "Oh, let's go!"
Yeah.
You know? And he loved it. Just it's non-stop action. Also, if you go to the Austin Stars, it's like $2 Bud Lights.
Super cheap too.
Yeah, the tickets are like $14.
I remember going to the
Great time out.
games.
Great time out. If those guys want to throw a sponsorship with tickets or anything, probably not going to happen. But just throwing that out there, you know. Big fan. Give me a jersey or something. I don't know.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, come on. We're putting over your product here. The least you can do is send us some cheap seat tickets.
Also, the game I went to, they played the Penguins minor league team, and
Yes.
Fuck the Pittsburgh Penguins. Hate them. Not shout out to anyone. Yeah, fuck the Penguins, and Austin Stars beat them. So.
Good. Fuck them, man. Seriously. Yeah. I hate the Penguins. I'm a Bruins
Fuck Sidney Crosby.
Yes. Cindy Crosby, the first female NHL player. Oh, yeah. Well, it's good that we got sports coming back, man. I'm really excited.
yeah.
You know, NFL training camp
excited.
opens up on the end of the month. I think the 28th. The Patriots, I know, are reporting their training camp on the 28th. Hassan just announced that.
My birthday.
Yes. That's how you know it's going to be a good year. Your favorite football team starts their training camp on on your birthday, you know? So,
yeah.
But it does remind me of this great story. I don't know if you knew this or not. You remember this name Doc Ellis?
I do know. I do know. Doc
You do know
Ellis,
Doc
yeah.
Ellis.
I do.
Okay. Since we are talking baseball, this is actually really cool. This week, it was this week, 50 years ago. Yeah. So Doc Ellis, man. It's funny that we did the first ever. Craig does history, you know, because this is actually one of the coolest fucking stories ever.
It really is, yeah.
There's a great Netflix documentary about it too. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have.
Have you seen it? Yeah,
I
yeah.
absolutely have.
Oh, dude, it's fucking amazing, man. So those of you who don't know, Doc Ellis, famous pitcher from the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is going back to June 1970. It was on June 12th, 1970. Pirates pitcher Doc Ellis. Okay, he was a great pitcher back in the day, and those Pittsburgh Pirates teams were good too.
Yes, they were
back in those days. Doc Ellis, June 12th, 1970. Doc Ellis actually did something that, and this is from Sports Illustrated, did something that by all rights should be completely impossible. He went out and he threw a no-hitter. Okay, a no-hitter, despite being high as a kite on lysergic acid dithylamide, otherwise known as LSD.
Acid.
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of acid in my life, and there's not a lot of things I'd want to have to do. Like, if someone was just like, "Hey, Craig, you want to take acid and then like drink beer and go to a Fish concert?" I'm like, "Yes, I would like to do that." Anything over and above that, I don't want to do it on acid. I just want, like, this guy.
That's insane.
Threw a no fucking hitter.
Yeah, not just pitched, not just suited up.
Yeah.
And went to work. No, went out and threw a no fucking hitter.
The story about it's funny too, because like he didn't know he was gonna have to pitch that night, and he just like got a phone call like, I can't remember if he was not supposed to pitch. I think that's right. He was not supposed to pitch. They get a call like, "Hey, we're gonna need you at the ballpark," and he had just dropped acid like 20 minutes ago. He's like, "Oh boy."
Well, here's the thing, and like I said, this is from Sports Illustrated. According to Ellis, he went to visit a friend in Los Angeles because they were playing the Padres in the old San Diego Stadium. So you're talking about a 4-hour drive. Yeah. He went to to visit a friend in Los Angeles the day before his start. Took some acid and stayed up late into the night drinking and doing drugs. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Yep.
Subsequently losing track of which day it was. The day of his start, he woke up thinking he was supposed to pitch the next day.
I forgot that part. That's hilarious.
Took another hit of acid at noon, only to learn that 2 hours later from his friend that he was in fact supposed to pitch, be on the mound.
Oh my
God! Got on a plane an hour later and made it to the park in 90 minutes before first pitch. Went out, threw a no fucking hitter. To that, sir, I say, holy shit.
Yeah. Shout out Doc Ellis.
I mean, seriously. Like, I mean, the rest, how does the jamoke that all the San Diego Padres, like, they couldn't even get a hit off this guy. I mean, he was that good. I'm not taking away from his talent, but Jesus Christ, they had to be sitting there. This guy is on acid, right? And they're going back. They're striking out. They're ground balls, fly outs, everything like that. They've got to be going back to the the dugout, sitting there.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so fucked here.
You know, I mean, this guy's a legend.
Yeah,
Doc Ellis is a motherfucking legend.
I mean, well, he was one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball at the time, anyways.
He was. He was phenomenal.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Makes you wonder about some of the other drugs people are on in professional sports. Like,
seriously,
was Mike Tyson on bath salts when he bit Evander Holyfield's ear off? You know?
The guy in Miami that did that fucking ate that guy's face off.Maybe he was a big Tyson fan.
He might have been. I don't know.
I can't even put two and two together. It's very possible. Well, that's it, man. That's it for our news stories and our sports segment for the day. Holy shit, dude. It's been a long show.
Has been.
Yeah, we've been going.
I
We're
liked
almost
it.
at an hour now. Shit, dude.
Might be the new format.
Seriously, this is, we're going to try to replicate.
We took notes this time, so it worked out a little bit better.
Whoa, moving up in the world. Holy shit. So what are your weekend plans this weekend, Craig? What do you got going on?
I think this weekend I'm gonna have a boys are back in town kind of weekend with three really good friends. Our friend Jimmy the Cardigan Carrigan is he's going to teach in China for a year.
You're a little
because why not during all this? And him, myself, Aaron Sarusi, and Ben Smith. I think we're getting a little Airbnb and we're gonna hang out and throw him a little goodbye party.
Nice.
I think that's what I'm doing this weekend.
Nice.
So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
what about yourself?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Comedy's starting to come back, man. And it's fucking phenomenal. I'm really excited that comedy's starting to come back. I mean, it's not back in Austin yet, shocker.
Yeah.
But no,
and it won't be. And don't you even think about asking about it, because people will call you out on Facebook.
Since exactly.
Yeah.
They were fucking talking about the fucking Facebook bullshit, it's Austin, Texas, for Christ's sake.
Holy dog shit, Texas, only steers and queers come from Texas, private cowboy. And you don't much look like a steer.
Exactly.
So that kind of narrows it down.
That's what we say to the community. I mean, Colleen's open. Colleen's got a couple of really good mics going.
They do. Shout out Jason Ball.
Yes, Jason
Ball Comedy. Follow him. He runs 2 open mics in Harker Heights.
Yes, he does.
They're both fantastic.
Absolutely. It's a really good time up there. And then San Antonio's starting to come back a little bit, too.
They are. Our friends Tori Poole, Jay Whitecotton, and I believe George Anthony just opened for Jeff Dye there this weekend.
Nice.
So they're starting to bring it back.
I think Houston's starting to open back up, too.
Houston's,
Dallas is starting to open back
everyone
up.
but Austin is starting to open back up.
But Austin, big surprise.
Yeah.
No, I didn't want to play that.
It's maybe a bit overkill on that one, but maybe soon people pull their heads out of their asses and realize we can start having mics again.
Yes,
right? If you don't want to go to the mic, here's what you do: you don't go.
Yeah, that's it.
Stop shaming other people who want to go.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? Everybody's going to be different, dude.
No one has a problem with anyone protesting. I myself have been at several protests because it's the right thing to do. But let's get back to the mics and the shows here, people.
Let's start
Can we do that now?
Absolutely. I think
we can do it slow. We can open up slow.
Yep.
Fingers crossed, a bunch of people in this town will have just quit comedy when all this happened. But let the rest of us get back to it.
Absolutely.
Open up, Austin.
Open up. Yep. And that's what I want to do this weekend. I'm going to work on some comedy stuff.
Hell yeah.
Really kind of start hitting the road on that. Grind out on that. So,
yeah.
I don't know if you know this, dude, but on our Facebook page, we're already over 100 likes in a week.
Holy shit, we are
already, man.
Well, I wasn't really promoting before because I felt like I did really horrible in the first episode, but I feel like we kind of
awful in that.
I feel like we kind of hit a stride on this one, so I think I'll start I think I'll start promoting a little bit.
Start protesting this.
I'll be protesting too, but I'll start promoting a little bit more.
Hell yeah, man.
I mean, maybe by the time we get the next episode, we could be up over 200.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
Get that push. Spread the word.
So, yeah, like us, share us, tell your friends to like and share us.
Follow. Hit that little thumbs up on YouTube, man. Social media, you can find us on our social media. It's Twitter, Facebook, or like I said, at GFY Social Club, YouTube channel GFY Social Club. Yeah, man, you can hear us twice a week. Monday nights and Thursday nights, 7 o'clock. That's when the new episode is going to come out every week. So each episode is going to be interesting. Sunday when we record our episode for Monday, we got Dean Stanfield's going to come in.
Oh
Yeah,
boy!
Dean Stanfield's
I should probably promote this too. I did. I don't want to, but I should. I did a podcast with Dean.
Oh yeah. Yep.
It's called Pack in a Can. Yeah, it's up right now on YouTube and maybe Instagram. But look up Dean Stanfield. He has a podcast.
Yep.
Really funny. He said some other really funny people on it. My buddy or our buddy Andre Ricks has been on there. Shout out Andre Ricks. I'm just trying to do as many shout outs as I can in the episode.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Shout out Andre. He's up in New York right now. Guy's hilarious. He's been on there. We've got some other friends have been on there. So go check that out. But after you check us out.
Yes.
We come first.
We come first, goddammit.
So long, gay boy.
Right. So, like I said, like Craig said, follow us on social media. That's GFY Social Club on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can hear us twice a week on the YouTube, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and several other podcast outlets. We really appreciate you coming by the club. Spread the word, would you? Spread the word. Hashtag join the club.
Godspeed.
Yep. We'll see you on Monday night at 7. So long, gay boys.